All right, today we're going to be looking at trusses. So trusses are triangular wood frames, often for the roof of houses. So this is a picture of a truss right here. And so you can see on this diagram, there's your house and your trusses are all your roof parts. So it says a double car garage has a span. So the span is your bottom from here to here. So that span is 24 feet 6 inches. And then it says the pitch is 30 degrees. So your pitch is this angle and this angle. They're both 30 degrees. So your pitch is your angle with your span. And it says calculate the height of the truss. So we're trying to find this part right here. So I'm going to chop this down. So I'm cutting it in half and making a right triangle. So the first thing you want to do is convert the 24 feet 6 inches to all inches. So 24 times 12 is 288 plus the 6 gives me 294 inches. So that's how long the span is all the way across. So I'm going to divide that by 2 because I've cut it in half. And so that's 147 inches. So that's half of my span. So I'm going to redraw the triangle and I'm working with a 30-degree pitch, 147 base or half my span, and it says calculate the height, so X here, so X here. So now when I label it, across is opposite, and then beside is adjacent. So that means I'm working with tan. So tan of 30 degrees, opposite, which is X, adjacent is 147. Put a 1, cross multiply. So X equals, just type in your calculator, 147 times tan of 30 and hit equals. So I've got 84.87, and I'm going to keep 4 decimal places, 0.5 inches. So number 2 says convert the height to feet inches. So you got to do the staircase method. So if you remember, I'm going to do the stairs. So I've got 84.8705 inches. So I'm going to divide by 12 to convert it to feet. So I've got 7.0725. And so that's all feet. Now you're going to take the decimal part, 0.0725, and convert it back to inches. So times 12. And so I've got 0.8705 inches. And then I'm going to multiply by 16. So I know that how many sixteenths of an inch it is. So I'm just taking the decimal part, which is all of it in this example, so times 16. And so I've got 13.9. So that's basically 14 out of 16. So you want to put in lowest terms. So that's 7/8 of an inch. So basically for number 2, my feet inches is I've got 7 full feet and 0 full inches and 7/8 of an inch. So you would say 7 feet and 0.7/8 of an inch. Okay, so now let's look at the next question. Using your answer in 1, use the Pythagorean theorem to calculate the slant length. So Pythagorean theorem, finding the slant length. So go back to your formula package and go to trigonometry. If you go to trigonometry, you're solving for the slant length. So Pythagorean theorem, that's your c squared equals a squared plus b squared, or b squared plus a squared. So I'm going to go back to writing it out. So I've got c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So if I look back at my triangle, so if I go back up top, this is a triangle I'm working with. So I'm going to rewrite the 84 0.8705. So it's C, so I'm solving for C here. So C squared equals A squared. So 84.8705 squared plus 147 squared. So I'm just going to type that all in my calculator. So I'm going to go 84.8705 squared, so exponent of 2, plus 147 squared, and put equals. So that part works out to 28812.00177. Remember, I have to square root that answer so that I can get the actual slant length or rafter length. So square root of that answer is 169.74 inches because I was working with all inches. Okay, number 4, convert the slant length to feet inches. So we're going to do the staircase method as well. So I've got the staircase and I'm doing it for 169.74 inches. So divide by 12. And that'll be how much feet I have. So it's 14.14508 feet. So you're going to take the decimal number. So this part's locked in. So it's 14 feet. I'm going to take the decimal answer, 0.14508. I'm going to multiply that by 12 to convert that into inches. So in this case, I get 1.74. So I've got 1 full inch. So I'm just going to circle it. I'm going to drop down the decimal part, 0.74, multiply that by 16 so that I know how much of a 16th of an inch I have to deal with. So that's 11.86. So this is where you're going to either round up or round down. So you could say it's 12 over 16 or 11 over 16. So the big thing about these is whether you want to think about it as, do you want extra material or just slightly not enough material? So most of the time you'd want to cut more and try to hammer it in place. So I'm going to use this answer. So if I use that answer, then I have to reduce it a little bit more. So that's going to be 6. I'm going to divide both of them by 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3 over 4. So I got 3/4 of an inch. So my final answer, therefore, is you've got 14 full feet from here. I've got 1 full inch and then 3/4 of an inch. So I've got 14 feet and 1 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so now it says number 5, calculate the area of the truss. So the area of the truss is the whole thing. Remember, we did a lot of times half of it. So you can still work with half, do half of it and then double your answer, or you can work with the whole thing. So um, it's in inches squares. It's asking you to find the answer in inches squared. So I'm just going to look at all my inch answers. So I'm looking for my height in inches. So my height in inches was this answer right here, 84. And then my full span is this. So you could do area of a triangle, base times height divided by 2. So I'm just going to do that. So I'm doing number 5. So area of a truss is area of a triangle, base times height divided by 2, or the span times the height divided by 2. So again, the span was down at the bottom there, 294, the full span, times the height that I solved for. So that was 84.8705. So 84.8075. Let me just double check that one more time. Yep. Okay. And then divide that by 2. So I'm just going to punch that in my calculator. So 294 times 84.8075 equals divided by 2. So I've got 12,466.7, and that's inches squared. Okay, now we got to convert the area of the truss to feet squared. So go back to your formula package and you want to go back into conversions. So I'm going to go to conversions here and you want to look at square inches and you want to change it to square feet. So I'm going to use the number 144 and I'm going left. So I'm going to divide by 144. So I'm going to take this answer and divide by 144. And by doing that, that's going to convert it into feet squared. So I get an answer of 86.57 feet squared. Okay, last question here. It says, if one sheet of plywood covers 32 square feet, how many sheets of plywood are needed? So you're going to take your 86.57 and you're going to divide it by 32 and you get 2.7. Now you can't buy part of a sheet. If you only buy 2 sheets, then you're going to have a hole. So you always have to buy extra and then you will have some extra wood cut off after the fact. So therefore you need 3 full sheets of plywood.